Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a Wii game getting an update in 2026 and how Fortnite is getting even more Star Wars. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Finelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
It's a Finelli Friday on Giant Bomb Game Mess Mornings. Very excited for that. I've already had my mind blown in the pre-show with your sleight of hand magic nonsense. It's a weird day, but it's a good day. I'm excited to be here, finally coming down from 2 weeks of the theater experience, which if you've seen the pictures, they were all over.
I have. They're so great. Yeah.
We had fun. I got to take some props home. I've got my hammer for when I was chasing Sebastian around.
Incredible.
With the hammer. It's just a dowel, wooden dowel with a foam piece on the top.
Man,
smack somebody around, which is pretty cool.
I definitely would have had fun working in a prop department. That's a cool job.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if you saw me cosplaying as a Ninja Turtle, but I wanted to point out the craftsmanship from my pal Rich. This is just floor foam. Like the foam you put on the floor of the nursery and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Wow, look at that.
And they just cut it into a shell, and then the front is just attached by little...
and that's so clever.
I think it's upside down, actually. But yeah, just little straps here. You put it on like that, and there you go.
You were a great turtle. You were an excellent turtle.
I was.
Now, but, because you had such a good week, and you've been such a good boy, we have a surprise for you, Jason Finelli.
Oh God.
I've not heard this. It is out of my hands. I got to hand this. Jan, what do we got for Jason Finelli?
In a rare crossover, we got a voicemail for Jason Finelli. And Jason, you don't often appear on the dump truck, so I thought this was fun.
One time have I done that.
Perfect.
Once.
It's a very short one. This is for you, Jason.
And this is for Jason Finelli for the next piece of content, whatever piece of content, voicemail, dump truck, or Game S Mornings, or whatever he's in that he comes in next. Jason, how does it feel to be moving on to the second round of playoffs for the Philadelphia?
Yeah! Let's go!
Love it. Flyers fan all the way. Love you, Jason. Love it.
Hey, love you too, buddy. I don't know who that was, but it was worth it to hear that voicemail for the eye roll I just got from Jeff from. I still can't quite believe it. Like, when we lost Game 5, I was like, oh no, it's the reverse Boston series from 2010.
Yeah, the reverse sweep is happening, yeah.
What are we going to do? And then
and let's be real, Pins played real well in that game that they lost. That was got goalied on that one, yeah. Dan
Vladar, the goalie, is my favorite person in the entire world until that second round starts. Wow. Yeah, great game to watch. Very hard to watch while I was doing work. I had some writing to do, so I'm writing it like this and getting questions and getting, spelling words wrong. But man, playoff hockey's the best.
It's the best. It's so much fun. That's been my favorite series so far. I would have loved to have seen it go to a Game 7 because it seemed like Pittsburgh was playing better and better. That would have been a lot. But no, I'm happy for you. God, there was a couple of games there at the end of the season where it's like, hey, the Red Wings just need to beat the Flyers a couple times and maybe they can make the playoffs. And now here we are.
I believe we were sitting next to each other when one of those went down, and I just kind of pointed at you and laughed for a little bit, and then the Red Wings started coming back, and then it ended up okay.
And now they're golfing, and you're in the second round. Cool. Love it. All right, let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. Go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. If you do that, you're going to be supporting independent games media, and it means the world to us for everyone who does that and is considering it. We really appreciate it. Gets you ad-free versions of our shows, gets you premium shows that you can't get anywhere else, like Portal Pals, Marry Me Tomodachi, Grub Snacks Premium, a lot of cool stuff happening over there all the time. We really, once again, appreciate everyone tuning in for that stuff. If you can't support us financially, we get it. Tell a friend, share the stuff, go post it, copy the little copy link thing from our Instagram shorts. Apparently that does a lot of work. Go copy that and put it in your Discords or whatever. And then, just hang out here. Come have fun with us. That's what we really like as well. Thank you, everyone. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Fortnite is adding new Star Wars modes, and one of them feels like Battlefront. Kind of the quick version here, Epic and Lucasfilm are launching a wave of Star Wars experiences inside Fortnite, including Galactic Siege, Escape Vader, Droid Tycoon, and hundreds of creator-made Star Wars islands. GameSpot says one of the new modes feels like Battlefront, while Fortnite's own post frames it as a large-scale Star Wars takeover across all these various things that they're offering up. Yeah, we can get into some of these details about what all these things are, but at first blush, what do you think, Jason?
I think it's a perfect way to get the Star Wars modes that they've been kind of talking about for a while into Fortnite for the first time. It kind of writes itself in a way from a marketing perspective. May the 4th is coming. This is when we can do these modes
of course.
in this game. I think that Galactic Siege, the Battlefront-like mode, if it plays like Battlefront, could be a huge success. It remains to be seen. One thing I did mark in the preview is that you cannot use non-Star Wars skins. They really want this to be the authentic Star Wars feel, which I think is a good thing.
It's smart for this. Yeah, is it smart for Fortnite? I don't know.
No, not smart for Fortnite, but for this in particular, this limited mode, it makes a lot of sense. And I like the idea of Escape Vader. Like, we don't usually think of Vader in a survival horror sense, but just basically taking that moment from Rogue One and turning it into its own, like, get out of here before he gets you sort of thing is kind of cool. I think it's a really cool idea.
Jason, real quick, do you have like a phone by your microphone or anything like that? There's just some electrical interference.
No, but I can move my cell phone if you like. Let's do that.
Yeah, just what it sounds like, but I don't know. But yeah, keep going. Feel free.
But yeah, so I like what they're doing here. I'm curious how extensive the creator-made Star Wars islands will get. But I might give these a shot. I might jump in just to see what Galactic Siege is like. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see like what these partnerships continue to look like. I remember the response to the first wave of like Disney equivalent stuff, like the wider Disney stuff. Obviously, Star Wars still Disney. It's all part of that major initiative that they're doing. But that those early Disney like games that are equivalent to this, the reception was pretty cool. And I think the key thing for me here is this what people come to Fortnite for? Or is this what Fortnite is just shifting into out of necessity, where it's like, hey, look, it is easier to get a huge lump sum of money from these big companies rather than trying to re-engage the community. We're going to try to do that as well, but these partnerships are more our future than making the Fortnite Battle Royale what it once was. And I feel like that is that's a kind of a scary road to walk down if you're Epic, because you risk losing what made Fortnite popular in the first place. And if you concede that and you're like, well, that's not even what we're going to try to do anymore, I think there's a risk of that core audience, the audience that spends a lot of money, turning away because they're like, oh, okay, the thing is now Roblox, but that's never what I came to Fortnite for. I didn't come for all these different kinds of modes. I wanted to hang out with my friends and do the Battle Royale. Obviously, like the game is McDonald's, it is Happy Meals. You could put anything in there, and that has worked. But I think that has more been like, hey, I want to express myself with different skins in the Battle Royale mode. And I just am still unconvinced that these spin-off games, these other islands, are going to be the kind of thing that really excite the player base beyond like brief curiosity.
Right, and they're clearly chasing the game that shall not be named in terms of offering as much variety as possible. What they do have going for them is that Battle Royale mode and its offshoots, Blitz and Reload, what have you, are still there. They don't disappear. So they can always fall back on them should something happen, which is a good safety net to have. It's how they got there in the first place. We are coming up on 10 years of Fortnite Battle Royale, if you'd believe it. So I like that. I like the strategy of having it as a failsafe and sort of trying to let yourself focus on other experiences, but it's not your bread and butter, and you shouldn't treat it that way, because all it's going to do is ultimately fail, I think. And they've already done the Star Wars Battle Royale variant last year, I believe, where Star Wars invaded the main Battle Royale mode, kind of like how Springfield did at the end of last year. So they've already explored that. Do they do that again, or do they try something different? I don't mind them trying something different, because then next year, if this doesn't work, you just go back to Battle Royale again.
Yeah, for sure. These modes specifically, we kind of touched on a little bit. Galactic Siege is the one that people are saying that looks a little bit like Battlefront. It is capturing control points for your team and defeating enemies will let you unlock power-ups. There was definitely moments where they had like, oh, that's a big Jedi character running through and then slicing down a bunch of enemy characters that are kind of just fodder. It's like, yeah, that does look a lot like Battlefront. Do you think that this mode here satisfies like Disney and Lucasfilm when it comes to like wanting a successor to Star Wars Battlefront? Or do you think they could still want to try to do a separate third one of those and really fifth one of those?
Well, this is a limited time mode, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they gauge user counts, maybe they gauge social media presence, maybe they gauge all these things, and this is their litmus test, right? It's something they've already invested in. They've already given their money for it. Now they just have to wait and see how much people have a hunger for it. And if they have the hunger for it, maybe it becomes an official Fortnite game, actually called Star Wars Battlefront. If you can do that, I'm not sure where EA would play into all that, since they made it originally.
I think Lucasfilm owns Battlefront, so they can give that to who they want.
They can do that. So yeah, you could use this as your litmus test, and then a year from now, officially launch a new Battlefront or Battlefront-esque sort of game in Fortnite forever, if it works. But again, what does that do to Fortnite's, original identity? And furthermore, do Sweeney and company even give a shit what it does to Fortnite's original form?
They certainly care about it making money, and its ability to sort of do that probably won't be hurt by this. But I just wonder, they're losing the thread a little bit. And
sure,
if these things keep coming out and they're kind of mediocre, I think it just ends up feeling like a distraction, and the people that would have been like, hey, I want to return back to the good old days of Fortnite, and that might be impossible to recapture, but that's what they want, will feel like they are not being catered to at all. Look, that this $1 billion deal that they have with Disney is going to result in a lot more stuff like this. Sure. To me, it's like, man, it's $1 billion deal. Surely this is just the start, and there's more bigger things yet to come, but I don't know. I guess they've never said that explicitly. But yeah, do you think this is like what they meant when they first started putting this deal together, stuff like this?
Yeah, I think more activations within the game, not necessarily within Fortnite's architecture, like Battle Royale and stuff like that, but making their own unique experiences with Disney's IP. Part of me is afraid they already peaked, because Springfield is going to be a hard bar to clear with how they wrote episodes around it, and the map changes all were reflected from those episodes. That right there, and how condensed it was, and now people still want it back because of just how cool that experience was. I don't know, man. I think they might. I'd like to see them maybe do something with other properties. They've done Marvel, they've done Star Wars, they've done Simpsons. They have a whole lot of other things under the umbrella. A Disney villains thing would be interesting. I don't think you're ever going to see Mickey Mouse in Battle Royale. That would be very strange. But they have other avenues that they can take. So yeah, I think this is exactly the kind of thing they were planning for, and I don't think it's going to be done anytime soon. And ultimately, if I had to predict something, does Disney just buy Epic eventually?
I mean, it feels like that is in the cards.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it after those layoffs, kind of streamlining Epic so that it's more easy to acquire. The operational expenses, that number got a lot smaller by laying off just everyone they could possibly think of. And that's rough.
That extraction shooter too, as chat reminds me, that they mentioned they were co-developing an extraction shooter with Disney. That is another one. That's what, this fall, I think maybe we'll hear about that at Keighley Fest or at Gamescom or something like that. Who knows? Yep. That is still a weird thing to say out loud.
That was another one like this. That's right. The story around that was like they were struggling to make that fun as well. And they said it was very similar to Marathon or Arc Raiders or something. I can't remember. It's like,
One of them,
basically exactly the same. Okay, I guess we'll see. The last one we didn't mention too much. Droid Tycoon. That's the third game here. It's a cookie clicker style game. There's a lot of those in Fortnite. That's what Tycoon usually indicates. It's just like taking the hammer that you get as a Fortnite character and banging on droids until you put them together. I mean, look, the kids do like that stuff, but I wonder if it sort of runs its course here pretty soon. I guess
Sure.
I was expecting more from some of this stuff, and I suppose Galactic Siege will be the thing that's like, maybe that is a lot more than it even looks like. If it's essentially just a Battlefront, like with all the bells and whistles, that'll be really impressive. But I am skeptical of that.
Yeah, with that Darth Vader mode, I think maybe flying under the radar too. That could be fun.
Yep. Yeah, Tycoon they took Tycoon from us. Yes, guys, I'm so sorry, chat. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that, but they took it from us. Valve hardware rumors, customs data points to game consoles, quote unquote, shipments. This is from Adam Corsetti at Notebook Check. And really what we're thinking here is, are these the Steam machines? Are these the Steam frames? Even if Valve is secretive, import records sometimes spoil announcements. Gamers saw a similar pattern unfold with the Steam controller recently. The company received a large shipment of the accessory before revealing its launch plans and price. Now, more recent activity suggests a Steam machine release date could be imminent as well. Brad Lynch, a regular source of leaks, monitors available shipping data. He informed his social media followers that Valve is receiving a ton of game consoles these past couple of weeks in their USA distribution warehouse. Although some databases require subscriptions for full access, NBD provides limited free access. Readers could see several imports for a game console to Valve's U.S. location, with the latest on April 23rd. In fact, as far back as February, rumors circulated about these curious records. Lynch initially avoided discussing the development. However, he now explains that quantities and other factors looked more like Steam machine / frame related things, as opposed to, these are just more Steam Decks entering the country. So we still don't know. It's a rumor. But this is the pattern that did happen with Steam controller. To me, it's like, man, if the Steam machine and Steam frame are that close, wouldn't they have just waited to drop the Steam controller with it all at once? Because that was the initial plan. But I don't know. Maybe things change. Maybe, I guess there's one angle here, Jason, where it's like the Steam controller comes out. It's $100. Give people a chance to get used to that. And then once you announce the Steam machine release date and price and the bundle that comes with the controller, more people are now aware of the fact that it's like, yeah, it's that price, but it comes with a controller that's $100. And maybe they're like staggering things that way. So do you get the sense that this is like imminent? Like, is that word accurate for Steam machine / Steam frame?
Certainly seems closer than I initially thought with this report coming out here. I don't know if it's like we're revealing it on this Monday and it starts the next Monday close like the controller was. I think there might be a nice healthy slice of time, if for no other reason than to let people get their coins in order, right? If you don't want to start pre-orders so quickly after a first reveal, especially if we're talking about something in the potential 4 figures, right?
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they announce it on the same day as Steam controller orders going up on Monday, but then have the order date be July or August or something in the summertime, with shipping happening in the beginning of the fall, just in time for the busy holiday rush. That seems like a very logical time frame for me, but that's if it's that close, right? They could be waiting for Jeff Keighley Fest, the Summer Game Fest at the beginning of June, and announce everything on that stage. They could be waiting for their own thing after the fact, but in that time frame, like how Sony likes to do a state of play and Nintendo likes to do a direct and Xbox likes to do their showcase. Maybe they'll jump into, I think PC Gaming Show is in that vein as well. It'd be a nice place for it. It's close. It's potentially closer than we all thought. I do agree with you that releasing the controller isn't so soon without, releasing the controller before this, if it's so soon, is an interesting red herring. Again, the bundled with a controller price is an interesting angle, but would they release one without a controller as well?
Yeah,
to the
I think
people
they would.
Who have already
I think
adopted
they will.
one?
I think they're going to have options.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's one of the things that they can do is like it being a PC. It's like, yeah, you're going to be able to connect anything to this. Here's just the very base lowest option with nothing included, except for a charging cable or, the power cable. And that's it. And we're going to get that price as low as possible. But I think that the headline price, the sort of thing that they push front and forward, is going to be a bundle with the controller. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other wrinkle here is Half-Life 3. This is a thing. Yes, there was a time early on this year when we were talking about Steam Machine, and that went hand in hand with the relatively recent rumors at that time that things were shaking with Half-Life 3. Now, I think the fact that all this has happened, all this time has passed, and we've had no talk of that game, and then the hardware just keeps getting pushed. I think a lot of people, myself included, were like, why'd we ever get our hopes up for that in the first place? But nothing's really changed in terms of I was definitely hearing that there was stuff happening with Half-Life 3 multiple times. And that's the reason that smoke was in the air. Does that change things? Does that help them sort of push over a price that might be a little bit tough, but they can go, hey, there's a group of you that weren't playing games on PC. Do you want to miss out on Half-Life 3? Well, you don't have to. Get a Steam Machine with Half-Life 3, maybe even bundled in. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh boy. If that's closer than we all think, then maybe. Remember when that was going to be revealed at the Game Awards, Half-Life 3? Do you remember that?
I remember that.
And then I remember it not happening and being like, oh, how about that?
What
a surprise. Oh man, they could be planning a perfect storm of announcements here. Now that you mention it, they really could. But what's that? Maybe that's another reason why we haven't seen a release yet. If they're worried about a run on stock, especially if they announce Half-Life 3 with it, right? But we have these scalpers to deal with as well, because they'll come out of the woodwork, especially if you announce Half-Life 3. That'll get their gears turning. So it sounds like they're, if nothing else, it sounds like they're trying to be as careful and methodical as possible with announcements and launch windows so that they can get as many machines to as many people who actually want them as possible. Whether or not that pays off remains to be seen. Whether or not Half-Life 3 is involved and how that changes things remains to be seen. But if nothing else, it certainly sounds like they're taking as much care as possible to do this right, which is appreciated, right? They don't want to be in a Switch 2 situation where they're like, here's the reveal. We can't reveal the price yet, though, because the world is weird. Sorry, y'all. And then reveal the price later on. I think they're trying to avoid that.
Yeah. Chat's also pointing out that Colonel Sanders says, seems like Deadlock is set to go into open beta this summer. They also have to formally announce that. That's worth pointing out. That's that's probably something that they want to have a strong presence with the Steam controller and Steam Machine and be like, yeah, you could play a game like this without any issue on the Steam controller. And here's 5 different ways you could play it if you want to have the best, most accurate controls, either turn on the gyros or people like using the touchpads, which is crazy to me, but people do like that. And yeah, I think they want to have that all go hand in hand. If you have Half-Life 3 on top of that, that's that's even better. But God, every time we say Half-Life 3, I'm like, why are we jerking ourselves around like this? It's so stupid to do this. But hey, that's the business. And Half-Life 3 happens at some point. Maybe it's not happening right now, but we'll see.
Sure.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, there's more headlines to get into. If you want to skip out on these, go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. We will be right back. We are back with Game Mess Mornings. Jeff Grubb, Jason Finelli. Let's do this next one. Super Mario Galaxy 2 gets a new storybook chapter. Nintendo updated Super Mario Galaxy 2 with a new 5th storybook chapter involving the twin Lumas, Mari and Lou, and the Lady of Shooting Stars. Nintendo says players can access it after the final chapter is available by clearing any galaxy and earning a Power Star. Nintendo also added a new track from the chapter to Nintendo Music and new NSO icon elements tied to Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2. This is a minor but very Nintendo sort of thing. They basically the patch notes were we made lore updates, and everyone's like, what the hell are you talking about? And then everyone was like, oh yeah, Miyamoto was just talking about wanting to canonize the relationship between some characters that got revealed in the new movie, and everyone's like, oh, is this that? Are they going back and retrofitting and sort of fixing up the story to reflect what happened in the movie? And it's not that. This is like a very small, just like the story continued for a little bit. There's just not much to it. So it's a weird thing, very Nintendo weird. But I don't know. What do you think? Does this indicate anything else? Is Star Wars Galaxy 3 happening? Like, what should we take away from this, Jason?
I don't know what Star Wars Galaxy 3 is, but Super Mario Galaxy 3 might be.
My brain's breaking, everybody. Here we are. That's part of the
Friday
show.
Is going to be very unprofessional.
Yes, hell yeah.
But no, I don't. I mean, it certainly will make people think that Galaxy 3 is the next 3D Mario game. And in such proximity to the movie, I guess I can understand the connective tissue there. But from what I understand, and I have not spoiled this for myself yet, this chapter does not really do much. It just kind of gives like maybe one extra layer to the already existing story. It's not anything groundbreaking. That's right.
That's my understanding as well.
It doesn't even, as I understand it, address the whole Peach thing from the movie, which they said that they might incorporate into actual.
It's not about that at all. Yeah.
So like, what the hell are we doing here, right? Like, are we just bored? Maybe it is Galaxy 3. Maybe this is their way of ARGing us into a Galaxy 3 announcement at the next Nintendo Direct. Who knows? But that would be great. Galaxy is one of my favorite Mario games of all time, if not my favorite games of all time. Galaxy 2 just as good. I would love to see a Galaxy style 3D platformer on the Switch 2 hardware. Could you imagine the kind of madness they could get into with that? But is this the first indicator, or are they just kind of pulling our chain to make us buy the ports? Who knows?
Yeah.
It could go either way. It's Nintendo. They're weird. We've established that they're very weird sometimes.
Yeah, and it seems like this is the kind of weird where they're sitting around being like, hey, we have the movie happening. We have these games that we've ported to Switch recently. Let's make sure that people who are looking for Mario content after they come out of the movie have every reason to buy these games. And one idea to sort of make sure that it's front and center is, why don't we update the storybook chapters for Rosalina in Super Mario Galaxy 2? It's like, I could see how they would say that in a meeting. It's weird that's like people thought that would move the needle, but we're talking about it, but I think we talk about it with the idea of, what does this mean for something bigger? And I think it does. I think the real thing here is it's about selling these games specifically.
Now, the one thing that will change the story from selling more games to perhaps something's happening in the future is if this happens again.
Yeah.
If next week or 2 weeks from now they update it again with a different storybook chapter and we start getting piecemeal, then the gears start turning. Right now, it's just a novel, neat little thing. If they continue to do this and they're trying something new to prepare us for the next Mario announcement, then I'll start to be like, okay, now something's cooking and we don't know what that is yet. But for now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, neat. If they're going to port these games over to the Switch 2 and give them little updates like this, why not? That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I'm all for it, and I'm curious to see it, but I've not looked at it myself. I just kind of got an understanding of what it is, and it's like, okay, yeah, very, very minor stuff. All right, next story. Injustice 3 is looking like the next fighting game from NetherRealm. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. After almost a decade without a new entry, the Injustice series might be returning from NetherRealm Studios. MP First reports a Warner Brothers games artist listed Injustice 3 on their resume, alongside Hogwarts Legacy 2 and 2 unannounced projects. This comes almost a year after a data miner strongly hinted that Injustice 3 was in the works. It's been almost exactly 9 years since Injustice 2 launched in May 2017. That's crazy. To put that in perspective, the original Nintendo Switch had only been out 2 months, and Justice League hadn't even released in theaters yet. In fact, director Zack Snyder hadn't even stepped away from that DC film quite yet, a domino that led to the Snyder Cut movement, which is something we all fondly remember. Fast forward to today, and James Gunn is now co-leading DC Studios with Supergirl, set to premiere in June. That brings us to our first question, Jason, and we'll get into the deeper stuff of, like, is this happening, blah, blah, blah. But in Injustice 3, do they have to adjust the tone of those games to sort of get away from the DC universe at the time, which was very Snyder-coded, very grim and violent, to be more like James Gunn's movies? Or is this a separate thing and they could do what they want and they continue the Injustice sort of vibes that they always had?
I think I would lean towards sticking with the films, because the attitude around the films right now seems to be good with James Gunn at the helm. And if you want to capture that, or capture that similar sentiment, the best way to do that is to put them maybe not completely lockstep, maybe not fitted into his overall DC extended universe storyline idea, but at least give a certain sort of familiarity to it. I would prefer a original storyline. I would prefer something not just completely ripping off of those, but I also see the appeal of trying to capture the same audiences that you have been with James Gunn's movies and projects, which so far, like I said, have been received well. Now, my question is ESRB rating. For a while, Injustice was their teen game, Mortal Kombat was their mature game.
Yeah.
Do they take this opportunity to try and make a more mature, Invincible style, perhaps, DC fighting game? If anybody can do that, it's NetherRealm, right? And I would love to see them take the more mature route, because if you just played their video games and watched their cartoons, you would think DC Comics was all flowers and rainbows. But once you start reading those friggin' comics, they're gross. They get grim, down and dirty and grim and wild. So why can't the game reflect that too? You know what I'm saying? I would love to see a M-rated Injustice here. Do I think I'm going to get it? No, not necessarily. But I think you have to get it if they go with the villain I would assume they would go with, or I would want them to go with, and that's the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be excellent for this game.
People in chat keep saying Absolute Injustice. I guess that's Absolute Universe, another alternative universe. Yeah, does that sound right to you?
Happening now, I think.
It's happening now, okay.
With all the it's a different take on all the different heroes, like Superman and Batman. I've been seeing a lot of like clips or page shots on Reddit and stuff like that, and Facebook, and people seem to really be into the Absolute Universe. It just kind of started, though, as somebody points out in chat. So it might be a little too early considering when Injustice was being planned, if it's been being planned for how long, if they were being planned together, and maybe that's why NetherRealm skipped the MK Injustice cadence to do 2 straight MKs and to give Absolute more time to be developed. That would be cool too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's due. I think right now people are down on Mortal Kombat after Mortal Kombat 1, unfortunately. Much as I personally enjoyed that game, I kind of get it. Injustice DC as a whole is sort of on the uptick. So to shift NetherRealm to that and try to ride that wave up and maybe take what they learned from a new Injustice and import it back into their flagship franchise, it all makes sense to me.
I think that the one key here that I would point to as like maybe guiding us as to what this might be like is there was that mention from Gunn and who's his partner at DC? I can't remember, but the other person that helps him run the studios, basically saying, hey, we are going to try to make sure that the games and the movies all work together. Now, at the time, I remember it was a show that me and Jan did, and we were talking like, good luck with that, brother. Like, making movies is on a very different timeline than making games. And trying to make those two worlds work together is a fool's errand. You will just be ripping your hair out here and not very long from now. So the last thing we've heard publicly was them saying that, hey, we're going to try to get all the games and the movies on the same page. What that really means, like, they're going to give NetherRealm the slack to do what they want for the most part.
Sure.
But if they wanted to sort of like be reflective of the movies in some way, I could see that maybe taking precedence over trying to like catch up with what the comics are doing right in this moment. I like someone's idea of like, make this the bridge between universes, like have the equivalent of the Henry Cavill Superman fighting the new Superman. And really maybe I'll generate, like, make it Injustice Generations and have it, here's a bunch of different Supermans from all these different like film generations and comic generations, and kind of do 15 Gokus like in the Dragon Ball Fighter, and be like, yeah, you can pick your favorite one, and that's what the story's going to be about. Now, that's multiverse stuff, and I am over that, but I still think that would be a fun way to get those characters in there.
I don't know, dude. Adam West Batman would be super overpowered.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that. Ain't nobody beating the Bat-Tuesday man
anymore. Exactly.
But no, I like that idea a lot. And multiverse is a bit overplayed at the moment, but if done well, I feel like people will forgive it, right? And that sounds pretty good.
Yep. I think this is happening though. People pointed out like, yeah, we've heard Injustice 3 for a very long time. You touched on like there was the 2 Mortal Kombats in a row, and I remember when I first was telling people NetherRealm's next game is going to be another Mortal Kombat. Everyone's like, what about Injustice? It's like, no, they're taking a pause, but they're going back now. I think that is also right. So. Yeah. When do we see this? It's hard to say. They Marina points out that they just did their last update for the quote unquote last update for Mortal Kombat 1 in December. So it does feel like that team has fully moved over to this project, and then that's going to take some time, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Microsoft responds to Xbox backwards compatibility issues after fans complained for weeks. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Recently, Xbox owners have reported that some backwards compatible Xbox 360 games are not launching properly on Xbox Series X and S, and now Microsoft has responded. Xbox executive Jason Ronald said the team is investigating what he calls a rare issue affecting a small number of players pertaining to launching Xbox 360 backward compatible titles on Xbox Series X and S. Specifically, people are saying they're getting a can't connect to Xbox Live error. Ronald said people who have received this message should actually DM him directly. There's actually been an update since this story happened on the Reddit thread where they were tracking these issues, and people were like trying different routers and sending each other different Xboxes, and they were doing all this research to try to figure out what was going on here in the community. They got an update yesterday that says, I'm very pleased to say that it seems this issue has now been fixed. Honestly, and then they go on to thank everyone for helping them to figure this out. It did take a minute to like sort of get Xbox's attention and to get Jason Ronald to look at this. But once he did, it seems like all of the work the community did to track that stuff down pointed them in the right direction, and they were able to fix it pretty quickly. It's frustrating that it took weeks of sort of complaining about this because, this is one of those features that I think people still look at the Xbox at and say, that's really cool that they did all that work to make sure so many of these games are supported. Would love it if they kept doing it, but we get a lot of it came down to licensing this at a certain point and getting permission from publishers for games that are dead. And they did what they could, but the feature when it's working and when it's there and for the games that it works with has been fantastic. So when it breaks, it's like, man, is everything going to sort of just subsume to entropy and it's going to fall apart because Microsoft doesn't care about this anymore? And it seems like, at least for now, the answer to that question is no, because backward compatibility, very cool, right?
Yes. I also think that they will jump at any chance to get the PR win, right? And even though it took a while for fans to get their attention, as soon as that attention was given, they seemed to fix it pretty fast. So that's a good thing, I think. And it's not like, and I am very much playing devil's advocate here, but it's not like Microsoft wasn't doing anything in the last couple of weeks, right? They've just been going through a mass overhaul and introducing Asha Sharma to the fold and starting the Sharma booty era, which is just fun to say. But so would they have answered faster if in a normal climate? There's no way to know. But the fact that they got on it is a good sign. And whether if that's what's going to happen again with a future issue, whether it's with backwards compatibility or with something else, remains to be seen. But I do like the speed in which they got to it once it was on their radar. We just have to figure out how to get it on their radar faster, without resorting to torches and pitchforks and profanities and direct message boxes. As soon as he said, "It's DM me," I was like, "Oh boy, well, you're opening yourself up to good luck, pal." But it seemed to be okay. It's a win for a company that is looking for every chance they can get one. And let's see how they continue this trend. Let's see if it continues.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I think about here is that team that did backward compatibility not paying attention to this is probably not because it's been like completely disbanded. It's probably because it's been transformed into the team that is responsible for making sure that open PC Xbox thing that they're going to make next generation has full 100% compatibility with every physical Xbox game that has ever been made, at least for the recent couple of generations. And that's a tall order because they're going to want to make sure that they really cover their bases there, because they're going to sell this thing as an Xbox. And the whole thing is you put your Xbox games in there and it should work. Well, that's going to be a little bit different as the architecture changes just a little bit for this generation. So, yeah, I bet they're busy putting out other fires as they get ready for their next generation. Teflon Billy in chat is talking about Blitz the League and how you still need an original Xbox 360 to play that. Chat, let me ask you, would Blitz the League and Blitz the League 2 make for good endurance run games? Do you make like a lot of choices in there? Is there that, because it feels like that would be a good like calendar style game where you're going through a season and deciding whether or not to inject your players with the drugs so they can keep playing when they're hurt. Not the first one, but the second one, yes. Sean says, yes. No, don't. Bad. Look, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you're Mr. Roger Goodell over here trying to protect the NFL, Sean. Dr.
The girls are fighting in chat again. The girlies are fighting in chat again.
Oh, man. Okay, now the way that chat is saying do it, that has me worried. Okay, so the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition becomes a free upgrade. Cool, like interesting, like that. So if you had the game now in like the base version, you're going to get upgraded to Spacer's Choice Edition, which was the $10 sort of deluxe edition that had like a bad reputation to be like, oh, it's not really worth it. But now they've done some work to repair that, and they're giving that away to everybody. Maybe a little frustrating for people who paid that $10, but also seems like a gesture of goodwill to that community. Outer Worlds they've had Outer Worlds 2 now. They've had Outer Worlds out for a long time. Just kind of a nice thing, right?
Yeah, kind of weird that these older games are getting these updates, whether it's lore friendly or consumer friendly. It's all these companies are like, hey, we have all this backlog sitting here. Maybe we can drum up some extra interest by doing this thing. Cool. More people should play the Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds 2. I love them, especially if you like Obsidian's take on Fallout in New Vegas. Very much in a similar vein, even if the universe is different. Outer Worlds 2 was one of my favorite games of last year. That perk system is definitely something you should check out. And anybody who did pay that $10, yeah, I feel for you. That I can see why you'd be like, wait, what? I supported you from the beginning, and this is the thanks I get. But I don't really know what recourse there is. So I guess all I can say is sorry, y'all. I mean,
early adopter tax and stuff. And we're talking about years and years and years at this point. This is a normal sort of thing. Yeah. Subnautica 2, we talked about this a little bit, but let's give it its full due here on this episode. Subnautica 2 gets a May 14th early access date. This does come after all that drama between Krafton and Unknown Worlds, the publisher and developer respectively. Subnautica 2 is going to enter early access on May 14th for $30 on PC and Xbox Series X and S. Unknown Worlds announced the date with a cinematic trailer, while The Verge frames the launch around the lengthy Krafton Unknown Worlds dispute, including leadership changes in the fight over a large performance-based bonus. Like, if people remember us covering that story, the executive at Krafton, the chief executive officer, asked ChatGPT how he could get away with not paying a $250 million bonus when this game would come out and meet all of the thresholds it needed to meet, which was obviously going to happen. And his lawyers were like, well, no, you're going to have to pay him. You just have to. And he's like, well, I'll just do what ChatGPT says instead. And now the game's coming out. These people are going to get their bonus. And that guy's going to probably owe even more money when it's all said and done. He had to reinstate the people that he fired to try to stop the game from getting released. It's wild. This date was leaked kind of vaguely leaked. It was said by Krafton a few weeks ago, and that was also a point of contention because Unknown Worlds is like, we need to control the messaging. That was part of the agreement. It was part of the thing the court told you had to let us do. You continue to fuck this up for us. Can you please just stop? Seems like this is the way they wanted to announce it, though, with a cinematic trailer ready to go. And look, for all the drama, I think this game is going to be enormous.
I agree. That fan base is ravenous, even more so with all of the corporate bullshit happening in the background. They're going to want to get in there and support this game as soon as they possibly can. And I don't think any developer on Earth at the current moment will be as glad to have their game launch in any capacity as Unknown Worlds after all of the absolute shit they have had to go through in the last months and years or year or so, whatever it's been since this has been happening. Fuck ChatGPT. I'll just put that out there too. Just want to make sure that's abundantly clear. You shouldn't use it for anything other than No, nothing. I don't have anything. Sorry, just don't use it. But I'm glad he's getting exactly what he deserves. I'm glad that the developers are getting exactly what they deserve in the bonus that they should be paid. And I hope this game comes out and blows everyone away to the point where it becomes the next big early access title, up there with like Baldur's Gate when that went in early access, and then when that launched as well as it did. I want the same success for them because they deserve it.
Excellent. So let's see last couple of stories here. No, last story. These numbers explain why Sony is stopping the ports from PC5 or PC5 from PS5 to PC. PC5
Friday.
PC5 is going to be the name of the emulator for sure. This is from Sammy Barker at Push Square. It's really no wonder Sony's backing away from bringing its single player games to PC, because these numbers look pretty paltry when compared to some other games that release on PC. The game business published the following launch month. Man, it really is Unprofessional Friday. Launch month sales data for a number of Sony first-party games, and it all makes for an eye-opening reading. Ghost of Tsushima had 710,000, which is, I think, pretty respectable, actually.
Not bad.
God of War Ragnarok had 300,000, though. Marvel Spider-Man 2, 260,000, and Horizon Forbidden West, just 230,000. So, Ghost of Tsushima did do pretty well. These other ones you would expect to do just as well or better, though, and they did not. Like, less than half. And to me, Jason, I think when Sony sees this, they're like, yes, this is what they would call mostly free money, right? They pay a little bit for a couple of teams that they already have to make sure that these are ported to PC, and then every sale that happens on PC is just icing on the cake. But I think they're also like, but we want our games to feel like the special. They should feel like events. And on PlayStation, they still do. And on PC, boy, does Horizon Forbidden West just feel like yet another game. And we don't want that feeling about our games to creep into the PlayStation side of the fence and make people go like, it's just another game, because it's just like if we put it on PC, no one's even caring. Now, day and date releases for these games, I think the story is a little bit different, Jason, but I don't think PlayStation wanted to test those waters yet. Instead, they're like, let's pull things back, and then we get all these other benefits of locking exclusives down to our platform as the PlayStation 6 gets ready to launch, and we can always reverse this decision later. So, yeah, looking at these numbers, I do think they're worried about the prestige around PlayStation games waning because PC players are just not viewing them as special or as events.
I think we are entering a new golden age of exclusives. And when I say golden age, I mean like all three of the major console creators, console publishers, manufacturers. Nintendo never stopped, to be fair.
Right.
But I think Xbox and PlayStation are going to start building that silo again. And we're going to start seeing that sort of competition with some first party titles. I'm not going to sit here and say all of them. I think MLB The Show will always be multi-platform because it's a sport and it has to. I think Forza now has more than proven it has an audience on both consoles, everywhere. And that will never be exclusive again. But for single player narrative games, for competitive multiplayer games, for maybe whatever live service games still exist, I just don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to see that multi-platform again. I think we're going to start seeing the exclusives happen once again, so you can see exclusive on Xbox, world premiere during the showcases. And honestly, I don't hate it. I mean, if you're building a game specifically for your architecture without having to worry about the other architectures out there, you may be able to maximize things just by your knowledge of the Xbox as a first-party developer. So remains to be seen whether I'm even right, but I wouldn't hate it, I don't think. I own all the consoles anyway, so maybe that's why I'm saying this, but I don't know. It certainly seems like we're going to some sort of new era of exclusivity.
Yeah, I and I'm like always wondering about, hey, the Steam Deck does fine and it doesn't have exclusives, and then I start thinking about that. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, yes, it does. There's all kinds of games that run on PC and aren't on any of the consoles, and so I just asked chat with a poll real quick, and immediately everyone's like, yeah, the PC has exclusive games. Like that is kind of built in there, and it's not like first party exclusives. But there are just dozens of games that either work way better on PC or only are on PC. And then they have obviously like emulators and all this other stuff you could do. So yeah, like the PC's got this unfair advantage almost when it comes to this stuff. And so these companies really do have to protect any sort of sense of specialness that their games create by being exclusive. And I think, this thing that we're talking about of a game being on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 coming to PC years later and just not moving the needle much, I think that would even happen to a lot of Nintendo games. A lot like Mario, Zelda, okay, that's one thing. But anything outside of those, it's like Nintendo games would also be like, no, these are just another game. These are not that special. They feel more special when they're exclusive. So this is not some PlayStation problem.
The only thing that might be exception to that rule is if you're porting a Nintendo first-party game to another console, you're benefiting from extra power.
Sure.
Right? So whatever upgrades in that regard might move the needle a little bit more. But for the most part, yes, I agree with you. I think they would just kind of fall into the rest of their portfolio outside of the top 2 or 3 franchises.
Excellent. All right. We have gotten through the headlines, everybody. Well done. I survived. Thank you, Jason Finelli, for your support there. Let's start wrapping up the show and start wrapping up the week, everybody. We have a poll question from yesterday that we need to get to. Let's go ahead and get the most recent results right here. This was a simple one I was curious about. Do you play racing games? And the options were yes all the time, yes the really good ones, no. 32% just said no. 12% said yes all the time, and then 56% said yes, the really good ones. So people pick one here or there. They hear it's like, oh, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, there's 12% are like, no, that's my genre. And then the rest of us are like, yeah, when Forza Horizon 6 comes out, we'll be playing that. But yeah, got a good look at it. Jason, how do you feel about it? Do you play a lot of racing games?
I try to. I find myself liking more of the arcadey style racers, like your Horizons, your Mario Karts, things like that. The real deep, grindy simulation racers, I try to get in, but I'm just not a gearhead. So there are things that I'm probably missing that people were like, well, you have to do this. And I'd be like, no, I just want to make the car go fast. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
I definitely imagine myself playing iRacing. I don't know if I have it in me to actually do it.
I'll sit in the chair and push the pedal, but as soon as I hit the first wall, they're going to kick me off the console.
Right. If I was at PAX and I saw like someone have a huge, awesome setup, a huge rig with iRacing in there, I'm like, yeah, there's no line. I'll go sit down there and try it. But but I'm not going to wait in a line, let alone spend all the money to get that.
I'm not building it in my basement. That's for sure.
All right. No new poll question because it's Friday. We're going to do the Bomb 12 here in a little bit. So let's get through everything else. Jason Finelli, what do you have going on? Where can people find you? Tell people all that good stuff.
JasonFinelli.com on Blue Sky. Big Man Finelli on Instagram is where I'm most active on social media. I have a couple of articles going up later today. MagicCon Las Vegas happening today. Got a little preview of what they're going to be showing off, and I'm going to react to that. That go up about 5 o'clock Eastern, I think, 2 o'clock Pacific, I think is when that's going up. So the panel will be live streamed. My impressions will go up right after that. Not a whole lot other than Summer Games Fest coming on the horizon here. A lot of appointments coming in. I totaled it out. There are 26 combined hours of play days, 8 hours on 2 days, 10 hours on 1 day. I have all but 3.5 hours booked. I'm going to be wiped, but it's good.
All right. Well, then you got to promise to come on the couch early. Friday night. Can you come Friday night?
We'll see. We will see. I'll see what you're thinking for couch. We'll see what's going on, and then we'll plan accordingly. But I am definitely going to be sitting on that couch, potentially beer in hand, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I'm flying in Thursday night. Got a whole slate of things going on, and I am very much looking forward to that. It's one of my favorite times of the year.
Looking forward to it as well. I'm going to be spending a good chunk of today starting to put that couch together, everybody. So GB at Night is returning. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Is it an IKEA couch? Are you actually putting it together?
We might actually have to put a couch together. I don't know. we got a nice place to do things at. They have a lot of stuff, so we'll see what the actual options are. But yeah, we're going to be spending a lot of today figuring out what this is all going to look like, everybody. I'm starting to get pretty excited. So yeah, GB at Night's going to be happening Friday and Saturday that weekend. And then we'll have plenty of cool coverage of us actually being there. Looking forward to hanging out with the guys again and seeing Jason Finelli and the rest of the industry. Okay, let's see. Giant Bomb. today, UPF, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's noon Pacific. We're going to be doing a grab bag, I think. We'll be just trying out a bunch of stuff. I don't know. We're going to be hanging there, hanging and clanging. Tune in for that. And then, yeah, plenty of cool stuff happening on the website this week. Go to giantbomb.com. You can see that 007 preview, hearing really good things. I'll tell you what, Jason. If that game comes out and it's like a good game with a lot of problems, and it's in like the high 70s on OpenCritic, I'm going to be excited to play that game because that's where I expect it to land. And I bet I'm going to be able to find the fun. But I think we're going to have to talk about the preview problem, because this is the latest game that's like, this is a game of the year contender. I'm seeing that in multiple previews, and previews are glowing for so many games, and they come out, it's like, hey, it's okay. We're like, why does this keep happening? But we'll have to wait and see. If it happens with 007, then we'll have that conversation. If it doesn't, then it's probably just a random a point of data, and it's just more noise in the signal or whatever. Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
Real quick. I just want to talk about how other Giant Bomb programming got me in a bit of heat backstage during the show. I was in my groove, getting into my costume. Door was open, and out of nowhere, just because I was in it, sometimes you sing out loud or you hum out loud. I just started going, bah, bah, bah. And everyone looked at me like, what the hell's the matter with you? I'm like, you don't want to know. It's
do you know who Don Bluth is? Yeah.
So yeah, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, this is all Dan's fault. Absolutely. Someone was playing Dead as Disco with the Space Ace music. And that was incredible stuff.
That same person, I reposted on Blue Sky, that same person made a very funny bit involving God of War and Tomodachi. You should check that out too.
Hell yeah. All right. I think we've gotten everything out of the way. Let's go ahead and get to the Bomb 12, everybody. These are the 12 games that really matter to people who are really playing video games. Let's start with number 12 here, Pokemon Champions. Number 11 is Arc Raiders. Number 10 is Slay the Spire 2. Number 9, Hades 2. Number 8 is Soros. That'll probably be much higher next week once it's out for everybody. Now that it's out for everybody, I should say. Number 7 is Pokemon Pocopia. Number 6 is Final Fantasy XIV, surging on that new content. Number 5 is Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. Number 4 is Titanium Court. Then number 3 is Marathon. Number 2 is Vampire Crawlers, and number 1 is Pragmata. Well done. That's so good. A couple of weeks in a row for Pragmata. I know Vampire Crawlers, when I was looking at the numbers, was right there. Those games were basically tied, actually, for the Bomb 12. A couple other tidbits for you all. Let's see here. Let's pick out some random games that got 1 vote. Let's see here. Brave Fencer Musashi. Someone's rocking that. Let's see. City of Gangsters. Was that Brenda Romero game? It might have been. I can't remember. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor got 1 vote. Dead Island 2 got 1 vote. Let's see here. Fear got 1 vote. Yeah, man, there's a ton of games here. Marvel's Midnight Suns. Okay, wait. Pragmata got 1 vote. So, okay, sometimes the spelling errors get caught, everybody.
It's the Italian version.
Pragmata.
Pragmata.
My mother used to make delicious Pragmata. Oh. Musume had 1 vote as well. Where'd you guys go? Where'd the horse girls go? Everybody's what people are asking. Listen, up on the site right now, I updated it this morning, so you can go add your game for next week's Bomb 12 right now. If you go to giantbomb.com, scroll down, you'll be able to see the updated Bomb 12, and then there's a vote here tab. Click on that. It'll send you to the Google form. Submit your game for next week's Bomb 12, and we'll wrap things up that way once again. With that all out of the way, though, Jason Finelli, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Fun Friday. Go take some medicine, will you?
Yeah, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to lay down and do some work. That's the way it's going to happen for the rest of the day. Thanks for watching, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.